one side of the map, you are opening up the other, but you can be a lot quicker with it on the Nativz side.
Yeah, I really do agree with the point you're making there, especially about, the death ball style comp. It feels a lot easier, right? Because there are some compositions that are really hard to execute. You don't want to draft a full early game composition because then you're putting yourself on a timer to win the game. I like the fact that Nativz are taking it back to the basics here because they just want to get that first win on the board, right? So bring it back to step one, play simple death ball League of Legends, and then you can work from there, play what you're comfortable with, and then just look for that first win.
Hands check, essentially, right? Just try and go for some 5v5s, try and get the fingers going and make sure that you're outplaying in the pivotal situations that matter. Of course, we do got an early pause, we have to apologise, but we'll try and get us back onto the Rift in as short a time as possible. Whoa, there we go.
Oh yeah, and we're definitely set for some early game action. I thought so, as Clyde does miss that dredge line. That means nothing else should be happening as Verdant now backing off. And I'll take that time to explain a meme we had in the Danish scene right here, Rude, because back in the day of the Danish LCD and this stuff, we had pauses all the time. Every time a game would start, we would have a pause for some reason. Someone had to go to the toilet or anything. It didn't really matter. So it's, back to the routine here of the Nordic team, it feels like, with all these pauses just for 30 seconds in the early game to make sure everyone is ready for the good game coming up.
Well, I'm glad that all of our resident Danes will be feeling a lot nice and at home. I want to quickly touch on this Nautilus pick as well. Remember, we spoke to Cly week number 3, I believe it was. Certainly a preferred champion style for Cly is this engage style support. I had mentioned that he'd been locked in Enchanter Jail, but we're now playing on 13.3, the patch where melee support's got a lot of love, so Cly going to be picking out the Nautilus, one of a more favoured archetype for him, and we'll have to see if he can find some pivotal engages. He's got Taxa to help out, but a large portion of these engaged tools do lie on the Verdant support. He's going to have to make the most of that.
And Baloo looking to be able to push the wave out, it seems, as the fully charged Q from both of the bot laners coming out to secure that early push, something they might be able to try and utilize. As if we take a look at the jungler, Sebal is starting on his top side, while Taxa is starting on his bottom side.
And if we get to see anything from an early game Nocturne, I'll be very impressed. You are waiting for that level 6 mark before Sebal can be a truly present force on the map. Early level Nocturne just doesn't hit it. Vi, on the other hand, Taxa has got a lot of tools through these early stages. Once you hit level 3, you can be a powerful force to gank with. Be it he heads up to the top lane and helps out nearly on a dive. Be it that he heads down to this bot side and punishes Remix and Baloo for that over-aggressive push that they're going for. Looks like it won't be the latter, though, as he's heading, as you'd mentioned, up toward that top lane. But there are a lot of tools for Taxa early on, where we need to see Nativz play just a little bit more reserved through the first few minutes of the game.
Taking it up to that top lane matchup, I really want to delve a little bit more into this, because you talked about, obviously, when a couple item comes in for the Fiora, it's going to start being an easy time. And as someone who started to practice Fiora myself, I do know that then in the early game, you need to be a little bit careful about these tanks, because they can surprise you with that base stat. So I'll be looking at that at the very least to see if Spooder might be able to find a good couple of trades where that base damage still carries enough weight, and before the Fiora just starts healing obscene amounts with the Divine Sunder as well.
I mean, just looking at this, yes, early doors, it looks like Neil's getting the best end of these trades in the top side. Got to keep an eye on if that, continues all the way through. But he's missed one creep so far, so really doing well for himself, and gets a really nice recall timing here as well. Won't have to burn teleport, because his next wave that's leaving his turret may also end up crashing in, putting a bounce back and putting the wave in a really good spot for Taxa to gank in about a minute's time. Looks like the reset comes through. Cull picked up, and a really good start to the laning phase for Nilla. One of those crucial win conditions we'd highlighted for Verdant is their split push capability, and if your Fiora's getting a good laning phase, that opens you up so much more.
Does have an impact. And I want to zoom out a little bit here now, Rude, because we are at the point of the split where playoff is getting ever so slightly closer. Verdant, at the moment, 4th place. And they are looking really solid there, as I just get exposed for wearing glasses. That's perfect. Thank you guys so much, producers.
You mentioned them. No,
I mentioned them.
I
did actually mention them. I called myself out. Then it's fine. I'm sorry, producers. I'll take it back.
There wasn't even a pause, Duckling. There wasn't even a pause. They just wanted everybody to see.
Them. I can't believe you guys have done this. Regardless, though, I want to zoom out and take a look at the standings here for a bit, because we are at the point of the split where players are getting ever so slightly closer. And Verdant, they really want to just secure that 4th spot and make sure they are heading into playoffs. Next week, they have both Riddle and Nord coming up. 2 very, very hard game. games, while this week they're playing against Nativz and they're playing against Unique, or rather not Unique, Veneer. These 2 games, if they win them, they will not mathematically have secured playoff, but they have pretty much secured playoff by that point. So this is a very, very big week for Verdant before they go into the death ball week where they're playing against the 2 best teams in the league. So much pressure on them now to perform and get those 2 wins and almost secure that playoff spot.
And that's why we mentioned that Nativz have got a lot on their shoulders as well to carry some water for those teams that are around them in the lower half of the table. If they can find a win here, it's a big upset and it allows your Uniques, your Dominos, your Veneers to have a better chance at closing this gap between Verdant and the rest of the pack. Early game Drake taking by Seaball. Very good to see that productivity in the PVM department, right? We mentioned Nocturne, not a great skirmisher pre-level 6, but we're leveraging the bot lane priority that Baloo and Remix have got with this Varus Karma lane. And you may have to burn Flash to get out of this pit. Does so willingly, but that's a Drake taking early doors.
Yeah, it's something. It's good to see Nativz, as you say, be proactive here in the early game as Erol. Might be looking to catch out Sebal. He has no flash, remember, level 5 versus level 6. Perfect execution available. But he goes forward.
Oh, no.
He gets scooped back under the turret. He still finds the first blood though, and that is crucial as Scuff trades it back to a 1-for-1.
This is still really good for Nativz, though. Whenever you're a jungler in this position, you're going to take that trade. Yes, Seaball falls a little bit further behind, but it makes Scuffed's laning phase infinitely easier. The Kali has no ult, has no flash. You're still sat there with flash with a massive experience advantage as well. And like we've mentioned, it feeds a little more into Taxa getting an advantage more than anything. He's able to steal away a Raptor camp. He's going to be able to secure this top crab as well. But in this mid lane, Scuffed gets a big boost of gold and experience.
And let's just take a look at it one more time. The shuffle comes in, nice damage there from Erol, but obviously the turret shot will be enough to would be enough to take him down, and Scuff not able to push that out. And that's something I want to keep my eyes on now as we move further along in this game. How much is Scuff able to get from this? He was already poking Erol out of lane, building himself up a CS and XP lead, but with that extra kill, with this extra time he has now got, can he expand that, make it a bigger difference than it already was?
The pressure is on Erol to keep that gap as is, right? We see 15 CS right now. If it stays at 15 CS, then that's probably good for the Verdant mid laner. But you're asking for Scuffed to extend that lead, and whilst Erol has no ultimate, that's going to be possible. But as soon as that perfect execution does return to being off cooldown, it becomes a little more difficult once again. The all-in threat from the Sakali with tier 2 boots is actually fairly high. There's no defensive stats from Scuffed just yet, right? That Lost Chapter is purely laning focused in terms of its damage and its mana pool. And with Clyde coming into the mid lane as well, this could be bad.
Yeah, sliding glide should be available. Nicely there from Scuffed. Denying any further engages, he will now look to try and poke out Clyde, but very nicely from Scuffed, still holding on to his flash. That's the big 5-minute cooldown, of course, so big success there for him. Verdant end up just wasting some time, not really getting anything back for it.
And it means that Errol gets one wave under the turret where he's not punished or not like really harassed out by those soldiers, which might not seem like a lot, but if they're looking to make plays on the map in the next 30 seconds or so, it means that Errol doesn't have to base it. It means that he can contribute in these team fights. Looks like that's not going to be the case. I mean, Seaball's taking this Rift Herald on vision, but once again, he's just leveraging the priority from his lanes. This time it's the mid lane prio that he got from Errol diving under the turret going down. But with Clyde making their move up toward this top side, it's not just the support. Kevo's on his way also. They want a fight here.
Yeah, but Lou is pathing down towards bot, so he won't be anywhere near this. As the fight has started, it is Sebal who will be the focus, locked up with the flash over from Clyde. That's a straight up secured kill from Nina. They'll take that Verdant. A 1-for-0. They're happy getting something back.
Rift Herald is lost, and they do push in a wave in that mid lane also, which is going to be denied away from Scuffed. It is obviously a sacrifice. There's gold injected into this bot lane now. Remix and Baloo.
Yeah, that's a season assist if I have ever seen one on Remix. He's running. The heal already popped, but with the flash, it might not be enough as Kevo just follows along. Baloo should fall as well. Flash nicely used to get away from the Taxa Q. In the end, just one more kill over to Verdant.
And just one step too far there by Remix and Baloo. They overextend in the bot lane, go for one play too many, and they get punished for it. Really good collapse from Verdant on two sides of the map. They go up to this top side, take down Seaball for having this Rift Herald, make the play happen on the bot side as well. We don't need to talk about Clyde's hook right there. He gets ruined by some awkward terrain, but they do manage to pick off the Nocturne, who has just hit that level 6 marker, hit it off of that earlier, or hit it a little bit earlier even. With that paranoia, your first paranoia can be so indicative as to how a game is going to go. If you don't get a kill, a flash, any meaningful advantage from it, it feels really devastating as a Nocturne that you have to wait for a whole 2 more minutes before your champion is existing again.
I wholeheartedly agree. And if we're talking about something that you can maybe force some people to within the next couple of minutes, well, you have another Drake up in 40 seconds, and seeing Nativz proactivity on these objectives, I would not be surprised, Rude, if they decide to go for this as well. Especially as we see Sebal already on the bottom side of the map.
I want to quickly draw our attention, whilst we've got a bit of time, to this Varus build. He's gone for lethal tempo plus, Noon Quiver, right? So it's going to be that on-hit, attack speed style Varus. Not going to have that really big poke out before team fights, but once you get in the midst of those team fights, he's going to be dealing very consistent damage. Means that he's a little bit weaker through this early game, through these Drakes, where we're going to have to now be hoping for Sebal to do a bit of the heavy lifting, and Scuffed as well, it's worth saying. With this Blue Dens, he's in a good spot, but Nocturne's here.
Oh yeah, that's a good route, and no way for Clyde to get out. A kill back for Nativz as Remix managed to pick that up. Now, Drake is in their sights, but Verdant are coming down.
Hopefully they can get this. They've got a 4v4 on this bot side. No TPs either.
Yeah, Season Assist available, but they don't even need it as the perfect execution will be enough. And now Seabal's the one locked up as well, taking down double kill for Texa, making 3 for Verdant, as now Scuffed in trouble. The Emperor's Divide already used, tries to get something back, but is unable to, as it's a triple kill for Texa.
And Taxa lives there. That's incredible. It's a 4 versus 3 in favor of Nativz, and they lose all 4 members. Don't get anyone back either. Scuffed is just a little too late to this party, so they just focus down Remix while it's a 3 versus 3. Kevo is free hitting this entire time, and the paranoia that isn't available, like I've mentioned, Nocturne just much less of a unit when they don't have an ulti to go with this team fight. And Taxa here, on the slimmest of margins, the passive comes back up, he fires off another Q, stays alive, and now they're well poised to take this next Drake. 2k gold to the good. Really just ruins all of the early game that Nativz has played for on that bot side.
Exactly right, and not just in the bot side as well, because what happened in terms of the mid lane matchup, well, Erol just got 2 kills and 2 assists, while Scuff got absolutely nothing from that rotation. So while there still is a little bit of a CS lead, there no longer is an XP lead, and in terms of gold, that gold difference has definitely been closed a bit as Clyde misses yet another dredge line back in 2016. He would have hit those. Or 2017,
testing the waters. The map's changed a lot since then, Duck.
Yeah, exactly. Some things have changed. Alcoves have come in, and when the Alcoves come in, one tree moved up towards that bush as well, and that means he didn't hit the Q. Something along those lines, right?
Yeah,
as the Herald gets summoned in mid lane, takes the plate. That gold goes only into Sebal's pocket, as Scuff was pushed too far away from the turret, denying him a little bit more gold. There's Texa, now in trouble actually. No flash. Season Assist comes through. There's still 3 members from the side of Verdant. They might want to go here. Regardless, they don't. They hold back, and that's a very massive shutdown onto Scuff.
I respect the effort there from Taxa. Recognizes the only way out is through. Unfortunately, there was just simply no way out, so gets punished for being in the wrong side of the map and on the wrong side of that wall. Dragon now number 2 goes over to Nativz. It's a good opener, or at least a good position for them to find themselves in right now. Denies a late game for Verdant having this big win con of a Soul. It is a Cloud, which would be very nice to pair with a Sivir. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Nativz can do with these objectives. They've completed, objective Exodia, really. They got the first 2 Drakes, the first 2 Heralds in sacrifice for gold.
And Rude, while this game has certainly been interesting towards the mid lane and the bottom side of the map, we haven't really touched on the top side. And this is something you talked a lot about at the start of the split when Verdant was 3-0. The fact they were playing so much for their split pusher in Nile. And now though, he just has all the time he needs to succeed up in this top lane. He's way ahead in CS, he's gotten a kill already. And we'll talk more about that later, because we still have more fighting on the bot side. As Baloo gets locked up, no flash, taken down. Now Remix trying to trade back. Good back from Fly. Sebal locked up as Scuff TP's in from the backside. He secures that 1 kill. Now Erol follows as well. But back onto Remix, he's forced to flash away. Scuff now caught under the turret in a 1v3. Emperor's Divide still available if he wants to use it.
Leave. Oh, Remix, why are we here?
Why are we here? You're asking the question. We'll find out if it works out, as the Emperor's Divide get used just to get Erol away, but it won't be enough, as the Emperor's Divide won't divide enough space between them as Erol picks up that kill.
Okay, really good collapsing once again. Verdant finding fights on this bot side of the map. Remember, you were talking about it, Duckling. The top lane is one of their win conditions. The fact that they're winning so heavily on this bot side is just icing on top of the cake. They were going to be, expected to be even a little behind in an even position on this bot side of the map. They're not. They're ahead and they're winning fights convincingly. Look at this now once again. Cly and Taxa pairing up the heavy damage, heavy CC duo of Avian and Nautilus already with the Black Cleaver completed on Taxa's side. There's nothing that particularly Nativz can do in terms of collapsing and fighting efficiently. Some great flashes, it has to be said. Clive flashed away from the piercing arrow, Remix flashes away from the boomerang blade, but then steps back up. Can't for the life of me fathom why. You need to just get out and hope that Scuff will be able to make this play happen on his own. As it turns out, can't make it work. Eerol's there with perfect execution and collapses and cleans up all four. This is now, the second Herald, excuse me, so not complete objective Exodia, but they're ready for a 5v5 now.
Yeah, Nativz are not done trying to fight in this game, despite them being down in kills, despite them being down in gold. They want to get on to Kero, and they do absolutely eviscerate the bot lane of Verdant, as they will get the Herald as a prize.
Good old death ball, baby. Group up as 5, try and collapse, and they've done exactly that. They take down the bot lane for Verdant, take Kevo out of the match, and they secure themselves that second objective. Split from Verdant, right? Nilo was on the top side, Eerol wasn't quite ready, Taxa not in position either, and Nativz, they just group up as 5, they move in as a unit, and it makes it really difficult for Verdant to go forward. Great stuff, finding a couple kills, wresting control a little bit back of this game. 2k the gold deficit, but with this Herald in their inventory, I expect to see Seaball move into this mid lane, place down that first turret, and get an opening on the map.
Now though, Verdant will be able to take that top lane tier 1, more gold into the pockets of Nilo. I very much want to see the gold and see how much gold he has built up in his own pocket, because he looked very strong, 30 CS ahead, has gotten a kill, didn't get full plates on the turret, but got around 3-4 plates if I do not misremember that. So he should be very far ahead of his counterpart at the very least. There we go.
Yeah, 1,500 gold. That is some gold. You are not wrong, Duckling. It's not just the gold as well. There's a little experience deficit as well between Spuda and Nile. So it's really looking good in the top lane matchup specifically for Verdant. Rest of the map, as we can see, feels a lot more even, right? We mentioned it's a 1,500 gold lead in that top lane. That means that the rest of the map is about 1,500 gold between all 4 members. Looks like it's the jungle is a large part of that, and then just small leads here and there for the rest of Verdant. Drake number 3 though, spawning in about 40 seconds, and already these teams focusing their attentions on these objectives with enough time to spare. The power of Sivir, as we're going to see right now, is that you can pretty much secure mid prio with 4 or 5 auto attacks, which is a lot less than every other AD carry. In particular, on hit Varus needs to go through all of the minions individually, as opposed to one Q through the rest of them could buy at you a lot faster. Not going to be the case though, as we've mentioned. Immortal Shield Bow being finished. Look at these items though, Duckling, quickly. There's no big spikes being hit by either side. I think the biggest thing is the discrepancy between supports right now. Blue has got that Moonstone proc, where Cly isn't quite sat on a locket just yet, but everybody else, about even footing. 1 item and components for everyone else.
And Nilo was previously undecided what he wanted to do, but he decided to join the fight. And here comes the death ball. They've rooted up someone in the middle. It is Remix, who will get taken down, and now on the backline. Look at Eerol. He tries to come in, but unable to find anyone. As Scuff is running for the hills, but he gets taken down by the perfect execution. They get 1 back, but they get wiped instead. As Verdant will claim the fight, and they will claim the Drake.
Target selection from Verdant is unparalleled. Cly spots out Remix, picks him out with the hook, flashes in, knocks him up, and Taxa follows up as well. Great team fighting from Verdant. Look at this. Yes, Neely's on the flank, but it's Cly. He flashes in, sees that Remix isn't in position, and takes him out. Gets CC'd, gets knocked up, and surprisingly lives for a little bit longer than I was anticipating. But Neil is doing great work in the backline. There's a Sarima shuffle to buy just a little bit of time. But as soon as they take down the Varus, they recognize Z as the next target. And then it's just easy pickings from there on in.
Yeah, this is not... I mean, maybe it is what I expected. It's hard to say, because I thought Nativz did so well in the previous 5v5 around an objective where they wanted to fight. They pulled the trigger. But it is very clear to see that when Verdant wants to go, they know who they need to focus, and they'll lock down that person. They did it perfectly there, as you said. And now the lead has ballooned into a 5,000 goal lead for them. And the game starts to feel harder and harder for Nativz, who are still looking for their first win. And this game, I wouldn't say personally it's completely over because we have seen them do well in the 5v5s, but it is just only getting harder at the moment.
Yeah, the difference between the fight around the Herald and that fight that we've just seen around the Dragon was who was engaging it. We saw Verdant initiate that fight, they picked off Remix and they took him down. We see Taxa, though, he's hovering in this bot side, has cease and desist ready.
Scuff, can you maybe dent your way out of this one? Taxa, though, holds on the trigger, so doesn't go yet. Still pushing up, though, and has not been spotted. A dive. Very, very reasonable here to expect a Scuff could get blown up in an instant. Very good Emperor's Divide, but it just doesn't matter. They didn't even need to use the perfect execution as the Herald summoned in mid lane to get something back here for Nativz.
This is a good read from Nativz, though. As soon as they see that there's two people in the bot side, they can see one in the top lane as well, and that's a lot of map control
TP
going their way.
4v5 here as no mid laner. The big damage threat is already removed. Now Remix getting taken off the Rift and absolutely dominated here by Verdant. And now the rest of Nativz just has to try and run. As Spood has no one to frontline for because they're all dead. As Verdant turn their eyes on the Baron.
Again, the collapses from Verdant have been incredible. The second Nativz stepped an inch too far forward. Double TPs come down, Taxa comes from one side, Nila comes from the other, and they just eviscerate Nativz. Baron goes the way of Verdant. They are 5-3 at the minute, but 6-3 looks very much on the cards. 5 members wearing purple as they head back to base in synchronicity. Look at this gorgeous collapse, though. Taxa comes from one side, Nila comes from the other. Spooder's Call the Forge God goes into Narnia, and the dive from Nile with this ghost just means that there's nothing Avaris can do. Karma as well has really difficult times peeling Avaris against Fiora in particular, because when you use the W, the root, it just gives Fiora a free stun. As long as Nil is timing it correctly, you can point that W at Remix, and you turn what should be peel into the death of your AD carry.
That's a very, very fair point, and even if it didn't connect this time in particular for Vanilla, it didn't matter. They are too far ahead. They have so much damage. Look, a 9-1 Akali. A very, very fair split pushing 200 CS at 20-minute Fiora, and a very nicely scaling AD carry as well. They just have an overload of damage, and it's very clear that Nativz can't match it in any regard, and they certainly can't tank the damage either.
Yeah, the thing is, right, we've mentioned there's great dive for Verdant, but there's also just a lot of damage dealers for Verdant as well. Scuffed. Oh, great spell shield, Kevo.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. Scuffed is already down to 20%. The dredge line barely goes wide as Sabal gets blown up in the front line. Not very tanky as Nativz now forced to retreat because here comes Nila on the flank yet again. Scuffed. He's out of there as Remix gets chased down and absolutely eviscerated. It is a bloodbath here in the base. Scuffed can't even get back to the fountain. Verdant playing with their food, and at 22 minutes, they will crack open the base.
I mean, they might do a little bit more here, Duckling, honestly. I think they're lacking the minions to go for anything more than just this inhibitor, which is going to be the sore sticking point. But they break open that inhib with 22 minutes on the clock. They've still got a minute left of this Baron. If they all take resets now, they've got time to make a second push of this. Even if they can just mop up the tier 2 turrets in mid and bot lane, they're in a great position for this matchup. Just recognizing what they can and can't do on the map, and with a 12k gold lead, there's very little that is in that can't do list.
Yeah, I don't think there is much, to be honest. Maybe a fountain dive is the one thing that's a bit too far, but it's just been so clean. There was the one fight, as you said, around the Herald, where it was Nativz who pulled the trigger, and they got 2 nice kills, and they have had some good moments in the early stages of the game, but very quickly, Verdant just got the upper hand, and seeing this Verdant win games compared to the Verdant we saw at the beginning of the split, where the games are very back and forth, relying on Taxa to get the steals, this Verdant looks so composed, so much on the same page. It's really impressive to see their improvement, and they are definitely saying, we will be getting that last playoff spot here.
And it was this matchup in particular, Verdant versus Nativz, where Taxa was stealing away objectives. There were 3 objective steals in the match between these two teams last time, and Nativz were very competitive in it. This time it has just not been the case. Taxa hasn't needed to steal these objectives. They were happy to give 2, but Nocturne called.
Yeah, they want to catch out Nile, but that fear is just so hard to get off. I swear, Gold Sabal, he got blown up. I've said it many times, but it just happens every single fight. As now Remix is being locked up as well. The follow-up is coming through slowly but surely. They're getting some damage back, but it does not matter as now it's Scuffed on the receiving end of a dredge line, and on the receiving end of yet another death. The last one this game, you have to feel, as Verdant might just look for the game here.
Yeah, no Baron, and unfortunately it's just Spooder left to defend the base. Nothing particularly to be done. Here come those super minions, and here comes the TP.
Here comes the game-ending hit. Hitting on to the next, as you can see, it smiles on the Verdant faces. A good win for them, a confident win. And it breathes so much confidence about them getting that last playoff spot. I am blown away.